There you go.
So it's just past 7, so I think we should get started. I'd like to welcome you here. This is the presentation of the International Service Group. Uh, and the agenda for this evening is, first of all, we'll introduce our core team members. The committee will update you on what's happening, talk a little bit about district grants, and then Rick Castiglione will talk about a project that's underway to have um, the presentation for the district conference in the spring, and Manon will tell you how to load your project onto it. And then Rick will talk about his project in Africa. Lynne will talk about Literacy Alive in Central America. Steve will talk about his sustainable milk program, which is a new program he's working on. And then we have open discussion, including a session with a quick session with Fish Creek, who are very interested in microcredit and want to know what can happen in that regard. Plus, I have some information about a possible Belize trip with an Edmonton club. So, moving forward, the International Service Committee core group for our district currently is Bill Skinner, who is in Guatemala at the moment. Steve Gasser, are you here, Steve? Not
Yes, Barb,
sure.
I'm here. Yep.
So say hello there. And Manon is here, and I'm here. And they call me the District International Service Chair. It's a new position in a lot of districts, and we're just actually getting going with it. But it's turned out to be very interesting for me, and a lot going on in other districts that we're learning about. So one of the things that we found out was that people recommended us having a resource network. That is a group of people who are very experienced in doing global grants to act as a resource, and not always global grants, sometimes privately funded or club funded grants, or um, district grants other than global grants. So presently, Doug McMillan is one. He is a member of the Downtown Calgary Club. He's also cadre for Rotary. I'm sure most of you know a cadre is somebody who goes out and helps with projects that are underway. Wally Gardner, of course, who is actually the head cadre for economic and community development around the world right now. Jerry Darachuk, who's done a lot of work and just received an award in Calgary for the work that he does on in Rotary. Manon, who's our current district governor. Kurt, who's a past district governor, and Steve Ricard. Are you here, Steve? I thought I saw you. Not sure.
Yes, dear.
And yeah, and Pat Caloran. So those are the people you could call if any of you or people you know are struggling with a global grant or a project and want some help. These people are all willing to give you a hand and share their experience with you. So that's one thing that we have undertaken, which I think has worked out very well. In terms of the district grants that are going on at the moment, I thought people have expressed an interest in what has been approved. So as of this time, for the just one supporting grant missing from this list, we have the district has allocated $337,462 in DDF. And I have to tell you, from my experience in this new role, this is amazing. We have this great amount of money. Some districts, they may only run one or two projects because that's all the money they've got. So we're very fortunate as a result of a gift of former members in our district to have a return of enough money to run a lot of projects. So out of this list tonight, we're going to talk about the sustainable milk protein, and I don't know if I spelled that correctly, but And we will talk about some other projects as well. But you can see that there's a lot of activity, and every project that applied this year received global grant funding or district funding toward a global grant. I have to watch the way I term things, but and in addition to that, uh, district grants, which are available for both domestic and international work, were awarded as well and these are the ones that went to international, and that was a total of 34,784. And it's interesting there because when you get the funding through the district grant, it's a lot simpler than getting a global grant. And a lot of clubs will pool their efforts and they'll all apply for a district grant for the same project, and you can build up quite a substantial project this way. But this is all being recorded. So if you were interested in following up on any of these projects and talking to the people involved, it will be on the recording, which we will distribute after Charlene gets back from her holidays, which is, I think, on about a week from now. So this year, we don't know yet what the district grants are going to be. However, I have been told that they're likely to be the same as last year. And this is what we had last year. And the reason is that we have a lot of money. And we didn't think we had a lot of money. We thought we were running out of money. And then some more money was found. And it's really important, excuse me, I think, to be transparent about this because some people, including myself, thought we were out of money. And some people didn't apply for district funding because they thought we were out of money. But it turns out that in the past, we had some projects that were not completed, and the money was still assigned to our district. And Rotary International has, TRF, the Rotary Foundation, has said that we have to use it all up now and let us know that we had extra money. And when it was researched, it was found there was a considerable amount. We have to use it up a certain portion each year. And this year, Manon, how much did we had to use up some, so it went to polio.
Yes.
What was the grant to polio? 30,000?
Last year, we were able to transfer 50,000 US dollars from district designated funds to the polio campaign. And that was money that went way back to, I think 2021, if I'm not mistaken. And this is, it's interesting in our district to have this situation because we have so much district designated funds uh, allocated to our district for projects. And sometimes projects, like Barb said, they get canceled, they don't go through, and then the money, because it never actually hits our bank account, this money for global grants, it's all on a spreadsheet. So it's very easy to move forward without these cancellations being noted. And then suddenly the Rotary Foundation tells us, look, you have to spend that money. So 50,000 went to polio of the oldest money sitting in district designated funds. And there's been a major cleanup done to verify which projects have gone, which are done. And so this year, it's not quite new money. It's money that is dedicated or designated for global grants. And because we have such active clubs doing such great work internationally, I'm sure that money will be well spent.
It's great. And so we've been told there will be lots of funding this year for matching from the district. So it's important that we encourage everybody to get involved in as many projects as you want to, because I understand that last year some people didn't apply for funding because they didn't know there was money. So there is money available, and in addition to what we get allocated from TRF this year, there is a pot that can be called upon to fund global grants as well. So good news, folks. And so it looks like this is what we will have. Now, to find out exactly, I don't know if they'll change it in the next 2 weeks, but there is the global grant session coming up, and it's a compulsory attendance for anybody who wants to apply for district funding, that they go to the global grant session. That's not just one person per club or 3 people per club. It's anybody who wants to apply for a global grant is required to attend, or else make arrangements with the district if they happen to be away, to go through the material and qualify. So I'm raising that as a flag to everyone. In order to actually apply, your club has to qualify, so you have to have some people there. But if you're planning a project, you have to be there.
And this is
Anyway,
for any grant, by the way, scholarships, district project grants, global grants, any granting money that you wish to receive from the district requires you to attend. And this will be online. And I think the message has gone out. It is October 18th. If you go to the district website and go to the calendar, you will find it on October 18th. Please register so that we have your name in the list, so that we can make sure that you are set up in the district grants module on Club Runner. Back to you.
yes, you can find an email from Craig Henderson, and he sent out a notice about the meeting with a sign-up link. So that's something to keep thinking about and to tell the other people in your clubs. So now, are there any questions so far? No? Well, with that said, I'm going to turn this over to Rick Castiglione to talk about what he's doing with Manon, and then Manon will talk about how to get involved. So I'll stop sharing my screen, and Rick, it's up to you then.
You're muted, Rick.
There we go. Thanks, Steve. I'm Rick Castiglione with Calgary Downtown.
Rick, if you can be a little closer to your microphone, you sound like you're a million miles away. Thank you.
How's that? Any better?
Much better.
Okay.
That's great.
That's the closest I can get to it now. So, yeah, I'm Rick Castiglione with Calgary Downtown. Manon and I were at a meeting in Okotoks, the Rotary Club of Okotoks, and chatting one day about this upcoming conference of ours, and wondering how we could get to a place where we could celebrate the successes of the clubs in our district.
You got your dues.
It was
Excuse me, Bill Skinner, could you please mute?
Yeah,
Sorry,
there's several
Rick.
people who haven't muted there, so it keeps popping up. Anyhow, the idea is we're trying to collect images, video, stories from throughout the district to build a video documentary that showcases what this district of ours has been up to in the last year or two. I mean, as Barb was saying at the beginning, there's been some amazing projects, and we have, some amazing resources to do this. but we would really like to be in a position to show off to each other what we've been able to do and inspire each other. You know, as I was kind of contemplating it today, one of the things I hear frequently when I'm at clubs, including our own, is how we need to get membership. We need to build our membership. And it's no secret that people like to watch videos. Thank God, because I've made my living for the last 30 years making videos. But, you know, they're just, people are tuned into it. That's how they want stories told to them in many instances. So we thought, you know, if we can gather a collection of videos and show everybody in our district and hopefully beyond what Rotary, our district, is capable of, if you become a member and if you get involved and you look for ways that you can make a difference in the world. So the idea is to put together a video, and I don't know, it could be 30 seconds or it could be an hour. At this point, we don't know, but we're calling on every club in the district to have a look and see what's there. And in the next few weeks, you know, a couple of months at the most, if you could send it to me, and I'll provide details on how to get it to us. We're going to build this collection, and then I'm going to sit with another member from our district and put together a video that we can watch at the conference. So it doesn't have to be a documentary you send in. It could be 10 photos with a little story, but you have to tell us what the project is and why you're proud of this project, what people need to know about this project. So if you've got some nice video, great. If you've got some photos, that's awesome too. If you're filming something on your phone, please don't do it like this. Turn it like this, because that's the size of our screen. Otherwise, your video will be crooked. So that's kind of the quick rundown on it. And Manon has been talking to every club. I think she's told me yesterday she's been through half of the clubs in the district already. Manon, do you want to pick it up from there and talk about the conference?
Certainly.
Before she does, Emery just triggered us in the chat box to tell people who may not know that lovely voice of yours speaks to your experience in doing this, having
Well, some
been a
people may
professional
remember
in
me
this
from,
area.
well, I did make a living. I spent 15 years at CTV Calgary anchoring the news, and then another 13 at Global before I set out on my own. So yeah, the voices actually helped my career along, and now I'm trying to help Rotary with it. So so far that seems to be working out okay.
Well, it's wonderful that we have the benefit of your great experience. So I'll turn it back to Manon. Manon, how are they to get this information in?
Okay, so most people nowadays use one of these to capture pictures and videos of their project. So this is what I'm going to show you how to use to get all of that wonderful media that you've captured into a shareable space that Rick will then use to create the video. So as he mentioned, we can use pictures, images, as well as videos. So most people have an iPhone. There's a feature on the iPhone that allows you to, let me just go into I'm going into my photos, and at the top, there's a little button that says select. So I'm just going to select at random. I'll pick the pictures I took at the Calgary Centennial this morning. And when I do that, I don't know if you can see it clearly. There we go. There's a little square with an up arrow. That's the button that you press to share the pictures. You want to share the pictures to your laptop or does anybody have like a big computer nowadays? Or does everybody have a laptop? You have, okay, to your computer. How's that? I'll just call it computer. Okay, in my case, there's a bunch of buttons on the bottom that tell you how you can share. And you can email them to yourself, or you can text message it to yourself. I'm going to use the function here called AirDrop because that works between an iPhone and a Mac computer that I have. So I use AirDrop and I say I'm going to AirDrop it to my computer. I don't know if you heard the little beep, but now it's put all of those photos on my computer. Okay, now I'm going to share my screen to show you where those photos are and what I'm going to do with them. Okay, let's make sure that I think this is the screen that I want. Share. Okay, now I need someone to confirm that you can see my mouse moving around a square. Is that correct?
We can see
Yes.
your
Perfect.
downloads directory and your mouse moving.
Okay,
Yes, can
so
see.
see here, there's a whole bunch of JPEG files. Those are all the files that I just transferred to my laptop. Okay, here's some organizational skills. I'm going to go to, I'm going to leave this here and I'm going to open up a new window so that I can do this easily. What I'm going to do is create on my desktop a new folder. And this is done on a Mac. You have, in Windows, you can do it very similarly. So I'm now opening up a brand new folder and I'm going to move all those pictures from where they were into this blank folder. Okay, I'm going to close this down. Now my images are in this untitled folder. I can do the same thing with movies. So if I happen to have a movie on my phone, I can move that movie to my laptop. In this case, we'll just deal with JPEG files, images. So we have pictures. That's great. Now you need the story. Okay, so what am I going to do the story in? In Microsoft Word. So I'll open up Microsoft Word. I'll create a new document. And this is going to be my story of Project X. Blah, 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 blah. This is what we did. This is the impact. These are the beneficiaries. And by the way, the pictures that I put in here are all about this and that and the other thing. Okay, so answer the who, what, when, where, why questions in here. You don't have to make it a big fat essay. Rick just needs the essence of your project, and he'll get it if you answer who, what, when, where, and why. Okay, I'm going to save this file now, and I'm going to save it in my untitled folder. I'm just grabbing from here. Okay, I can't find it.
I think it was in your
Folder. Here it is.
There you go.
Okay. So here is my story of Project X. I'm going to save it. Now, if I have a look at what's in that folder, refresh. Thought I saved the Word document. Did everybody see me save that Word document? Why is it not showing up? Okay.
Because it was, Manon, because it was in untitled folder 2. So it just happened to be.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay. We'll pretend that it's there because I want to keep moving forward here. So now I have my JPEGs and I have my invisible Word document with all the information in it, and I'm ready to upload it. Where do we upload it to? How do you do that? Well, I'm going to post in the chat the instructions, and I'm just going to flip to the instruction document right now. Okay, you will receive, or you can download this instructions document from the chat, and you'll see here, skip number 1. I'm going to edit this. We're going to skip number 1, but prepare the folder on your computer. That was my untitled folder. Write the brief synopsis. I did that. Put all the pictures and videos and synopsis in the folder. I did that. Now we're ready to upload that folder to this Google Drive folder. When you click on this, it will take you to the shared Google Drive where all of our documentation will reside. So I just clicked on that. Look at that. I am now in the Google Drive that has 2 folders. Look at that. The RIAC program has already put in their information. Ooh, I wonder what's in there. Open it up. Oh, look at that. A whole bunch of pictures, an MP4, that's a video. They put in a video, they put in pictures, lots of them, and they put in the explanation of what that's all about. Cool. So that one's there already. RIAC is now on the list. To navigate in here, because I opened that folder, you'll find the breadcrumb trail over here. I'm just going to click on this middle link. It takes me back to where I was. Okay. Here on the upper left-hand corner where the new button is located, that's your key. So I'm going to click on new. A submenu opens up, and now I want to upload my entire folder. So I click this, folder upload, and then I go to where my untitled folder is. I really should have named it, eh? Untitled folder, here it is. Okay, I click the upload button in the lower right-hand corner, or you could double click on it. And it says upload 11 files to this site. Yes, upload. There we go. All the files have now are in the process of being moved. You'll see in the lower right-hand corner, a box that will tell you that it's actually uploading the files. And you'll see the little dials turn as each file gets uploaded. We're at 10 of 11, now we're 11, upload complete. All my information is now in here. If I open it up, there are all those images. I'm going to go back up one level to where I started. Now, untitled folder doesn't tell Rick anything. As a matter of fact, he might look at that and go, that's junk, and I'll delete it. So here's a cool thing that you can do. You can right-click on that, and you can choose rename. So this is Rotary Club of Calgary, Cambodia Literacy Project. Done. And that's as easy as it is. So to summarize, I'm going to stop sharing because you don't need to see this anymore. Where is my stop share? There it is. Okay.
And we should tell you that because we're recording this, you will get all this distributed to you in a recording later if you need it, or you can contact people to get help. But Rick will be out of the country starting in a couple of days. And Manon is here, but she's pretty busy sometimes. So
I'm busy this month of November. My calendar is empty. Did I say that? That's because I'm getting all my club.
The slacker. Oh my God.
Slacker.
DJ slacker.
So to summarize, take great pictures with your device. A phone works great. The quality of the cameras on phones is wonderful. Take people doing things. Take people smiling. Take people, like this instead of, right? And Rick will make sure that he can make that go smooth and transition from picture to picture. Write a synopsis, put all of that in a folder on your computer, then use the link to upload to the Google Drive, adjust the title of the folder if you have to. You can name it appropriately when you put it on your computer in the first place. My example showed you renaming it after. But put the name of your club, and you know what? Put your name there too, because if Rick has a question, if your synopsis is missing something, or if he has a question to ask you, which will help him narrate on top of your images, who's he going to contact? So put your name, Rotary Club of Calgary, Manon Mitchell. And of course, Everybody's got the Club Runner app on their phone, and he will be able to find your contact information. As long as he knows your name, everything's good.
We
Okay,
have a couple of questions. The first is Steve.
Yeah, I was just curious about two things. The first one is, do you have any preferred formats? Because, pictures can be in a variety of formats, as can video. And secondly, video, I shoot a lot of underwater video when I'm scuba diving, and if I shoot at 4K, it's about a gigabyte per minute. So I'm assuming you've also got some limits on file sizes that, that are, or resolutions that will make it easy to move, manipulate things.
Thanks, Steve, for asking that. You're absolutely right. There's a million ways to do it. The preference is JPEG for images. I mean, I can handle most of them. And in terms of video, MPEG 4. And HD is preferable. 4K we really can't use. The files are monstrous, and we don't need them to be 4K because the video will be exported as a HD video. So that would be the preference. So MPEG 4 or MP4 is lovely, and that is a fairly common one that just about any computer can export. And JPEG keeps it consistent, so we don't have TIFF and all these other formats. So yeah, that'd be awesome if you guys could upload it that way.
So for people with new iPhones, the default is an HEIC file. So they'll have to convert them to JPEG if you want everything in JPEG.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Thank
Because
you.
those files are huge too.
Ola, you have a question?
Yeah, I have a question. I just want to know if there are any preferences regarding the timeline of these projects. How far back can we go? Because there are projects dating back 2019, 2020. How far back can we go regarding the project?
Are you proud of that project?
Oh, proud of all of them. Yeah.
Good. I don't care how far back we go, really. I mean, maybe turn of the century might be tough. What we're trying to achieve is to, tell people your club's active, to be able to show and celebrate some of what you've done. So, you pick, and decide. But I'm not going to throw stuff out because it was 2019 for sure.
Okay.
If it's a great story, let's just use it and go with it.
the more stories you provide, the more people from your club need to attend the conference. How's
Yeah.
that?
That's great.
For every
Mm.
story, you need to bring 3 people at least.
Here, can you imagine?
Kidding, but I think, if my club was doing that, I would want to make sure that my club members were there so that we can all celebrate the amazing things that each and every one of us here on this call participates in all the time. So,
But beyond that, I mean, when I walked away from that meeting, Manon, I went, as I was driving home, I go, oh my God, what did I just commit to? And then I thought, oh, this is going to be awesome. Because when somebody comes to you and says, I know you're a Rotarian, what does it look like? Tell me what Rotary is about. You can have a chat, and then you might say, hey, here's a link to a video on our district website. And this is something we celebrated this year. And oh my God, hopefully, my goal is after watching this, everybody in the world will want to be a Rotarian.
That's wonderful. Thank you very much, both of you.
Okay.
And so we think we'll move from there into the next aspect of this meeting, which is summarizing some of the projects that have taken place or are currently underway. And some are global grants and some aren't. And I think it's interesting to see the different kinds of things. And it has been mentioned that by doing this, not just celebrate the successes, but talk about the challenges and how we overcame the challenges, because that can be a learning for other people who are facing challenges. And believe me, I will tell you later, I don't have time tonight, but I had I had a fire truck for 5 years that I was trying to get to Guatemala. It finally went this spring, and I'll tell you about it later, but it was a challenge. So Rick is going to start with a project that he is currently working on in Africa, which is not a global grant. It was going to be, and then it transformed. Rick, do you want to tell them? Do you have slides?
Yeah, Barb, well, you know, it transformed because we were going for a global grant, and then the district said, "Oh, we don't have any money," and we'd already kind of committed to this community in southern Uganda that it was going to start. It was a training center, so you know, we were nimble enough to find different ways. Different people in our club made suggestions, and we made it work. Not exactly the way we'd originally planned, but you know, it's working, and we've got a lot of really excited people involved in this project. I'll spin through it really quickly, and at some point I'm going to try and share my screen here, Barb, and I'm not sure I know how to do that. But
there's a button. There's a
yeah,
green button.
A green button.
And you have to have the file open on your computer.
Okay, I do, but I got 3 screens going here. So let me just start by giving a brief description of the project. So I work in Africa quite a bit, and I've been involved in a number of Rotary projects, sort of helping along the way to learn how this is done. And there's a community that I work in extreme southern Uganda, near the border with Congo and the Democratic Republic of Rwanda. And it's a very tiny community, and they've been losing young people because there's nothing there, or very little there that for them to do. And they're a great distance from even the nearest place where you could go shopping. You know, it's almost a 2-hour drive on bad roads to get to the nearest commercial center. So I've had some involvement with an organization called Sowing Seeds Canada, which was started by the founder of Sun Ice Clothing, which many of you might remember from skiing days. Sylvia Rumpel, when she retired, she came to me and a group, and we put together an organization to help teach women and men in the developing world how to sew and how to turn that into a business for themselves. And it's been hugely successful. You know, it's on every continent now. Places like Sierra Leone and Peru and Mexico. We have 2 programs going in Ukraine until this crazy event happened there. So this one is in southern Uganda, and I'll see if we can share the screen. You guys are going to have to walk me through this, because I don't even have a clue how to do this.
There's a little square button at the bottom of your Zoom window, green. It says share, and then a secondary window will open up, presenting all of the different screens that you can share, and you choose one from there. If there is sound with what you're going to share, there's a little box on that same screen that you need to check off to get the best sound quality. Otherwise, we won't hear what's.
Yeah, and I'm not seeing that at all. I'm not seeing that green box at all on my screen. I don't use Zoom, so I'm unfortunately not really aware of this.
Point around the bottom and it'll come up.
If your Zoom window is, you might have something covering that window. It's at the bottom of the Zoom window where you have the whole list of things where you can mute. Do you know where you mute your computer?
Yep.
Okay, so go to the right. The next one is video. The next one is participants. The next one is chat. The next one's react. Yep. Share.
Yeah, I don't have share on there. I don't know why.
Well, let's not worry about it. Why don't you just talk?
Yeah. No, I don't have. Mine stops at AI companion, and nothing else there. So, what you would see if I was able to share my screen is, first of all, a little collection of mountain gorillas, which is what attracted me to that area in the first place. I take people there on my safaris. I have a safari company as to go gorilla tracking, mountain gorillas. And so I got to know the community quite well, and saw the need for some sort of industry that could provide some financial security to people living in this area, particularly women. And so I engaged Sowing Seeds and a NGO in Uganda called the Gorilla Junction Foundation, to get together and come up with a project that would allow for people to learn how to become professional sowers, tailors. I knew the owner of the lodge I stay at, is the founder of that Gorilla Junction Foundation. She agreed to build a community training center if I could come up with trainers, people who could start a sewing program, and it's going to grow from there into other things. So we launched it in April, and we had 100 applicants. We had 15 sewing machines brought in, had 100 applicants, and 15 started out. It was incredibly successful. We went through some struggles at first with machines that weren't working. But in the end, we had women who had never, ever been in a classroom in their life, who had no education at all, creating garments on a machine that they'd never set eyes on before. All of that in 10 days. We left them with fabric, we left them with some instructions, some help to start creating their own projects, reproducing what they'd learned. They learned how to create 12 different projects. And the reports from there was the machines have barely stopped one day. They're just sewing up a storm. They've run out of fabric. I'm going to be back there in 2 weeks, and I'm hoping to have a bunch of fabric with me. And then a sewing team is coming back in November, and we'll be going with what's called level 2, which brings them to a more professional level of sewing. So that's part 2, and then we'll be returning in a year after they've had time to sew and practice and start teaching each other. And we're looking at a district vocational training grant and another grant from our club to be able to teach some of the more advanced sewers how to teach the program and how to manage the program on their own, and start talking about business development. How do you create a business? And I mean, Sylvia Rempel was a refugee who learned how to sew because she didn't have clothing. She was picking sugar beets in southern Alberta, learned to sew on the side, and ended up turning her sewing into an international corporation, making mostly ski garments, golf. So she knew how to start a business. She started it when she was 40 years old, and is now in her 80s and retired, but she goes to every program except this one because of her age, and has taught women all over the world how to use her skills, the skills she learned as a refugee, to turn it into a business that could help provide her with some financial security. So sadly, the video guy's not in a position to understand how to show your video, but what I was going to show you is part of a 3-part documentary that I'm making on the program, and it'll end up on a Rotary website somewhere. So
We'll look
that's the
forward
project.
to seeing it.
Yeah,
It's wonderful. We'll look forward to seeing it as part of your show at the district conference. And it's
thanks.
wonderful, the success that you've had. And this was a big, it started out to be a global grant, and then there wasn't enough money, so it got segmented and funded in segments. And that's certainly an option too. If there isn't enough money at one time to do the whole project, to break it down into segments, it's great. So thank you very much, Rick, and we hope you have a
You're
great
welcome.
trip over there. And any questions quickly, because I think we have to move on.
Barb, I just want to mention that the deadline for submissions is February 1st. February 1st, because Rick needs time to put all of this together, and the instructions are there, and you can in the chat, and you can download them. Thank you.
That's great, thank you. And Rick will be gone most of the time till then, I think. So that's great timing. The next person who's going to talk to you about a project is Lynne Paradis, and this is a project that has received a lot of acclaim. It's been ongoing for a fair amount of time, and she made a presentation on it to a session that we set up before the International Convention dealing with early childhood education, and it was so well received. I asked her if she could do a summary of it for you here today. So, Lynne, you take over.
Okay. I'm just trying to share my screen here.
If there's a problem, Manon can do this one.
Okay. Maybe Manon, I'll let you do it and I'll just start talking. I'll zip through the slides fairly quickly because I wasn't sure what to expect out of this meeting, and I don't think you want the level of detail that I have available. But basically, this is a literacy project, and really it is a culmination of a lot of various projects over 18 years, and I think we finally got it right. It's been a work in progress, but it's tremendous success with improving literacy. So we were featured in the Rotarian this month as part of Holger Knack's message on literacy. We did 3 sessions at the conference in Calgary, and really we need more people to help out. It's taken a long time to finally nail a sustainable project where we see evidence-based success. So Manon, are you able to put the PowerPoint up?
It's coming up. Just keep talking. I'll catch up.
Okay. I know many of you are dealing with other projects. Rick, I got to say, I'm very excited about you knowing something about video. We've got probably 300+ videos of this project, but we need somebody with the skill set to take some of the best ones and put them together. I totally agree with you that as a district, we want to show that we are really using Rotary International funding, DDF funding, whatever, in a very positive way. We've been using global grants. I think this is my 9th global grant that I've written. And I got to tell you, we've learned more from our mistakes than we have from our successes. We're at a point now where we have 4 Rotary clubs, 1 American club, 3 from the Red Deer area that are supporting the work that we're doing. And we're looking for more. Just today, I got a request from Belize, is the country that we work with, and they don't, like, it's like any other country that's having problems with literacy. They just lack the personnel resources and they lack the funding to do some of the things that, let's say, we're able to do here in Canada. So if you can just, Manon, hit that slide with the picture of all of us on it. I think you have to go to the projection screen. I don't know why we're seeing it in a row.
You're seeing it this way because it's shown directly from your Google link.
Oh, okay. All righty. Anyway, bottom line is I think some of the hardest stuff I've done, and I'm a school superintendent, I write lots of grants. I've been doing it for a living, and I got to tell you, writing global grants and having them RI approved is probably more challenging than any other grants that I've ever had to write. That I think a lot can be gained in our district if we band together and do kind of group projects rather than everybody trying to meet the very high level level of standards that RI expects. So I'm inviting you, whether it's for participating or helping in the funding, to be part of this project. Why? Because it's making a difference in Belize. Belize suffered immensely from COVID. They had many children returning to school after 2 years of schools being closed that had forgotten how to hold a pencil. Their situation in high school is disastrous. All right, their kids can't read. All right, their teachers have poor training in it. So how do we change that existing culture? You're seeing in this picture, what are we doing there? What we did is, I got to tell you, from 18 years ago, we went to Belize, and that would have been District 5360 and 5370 in large numbers, and tried to do all kinds of things, curriculum, math, science, you name it. Way too big. We didn't see results. So we've narrowed it to a very small thing, and that is called phonological awareness, which is an approach to reading where you give children decoding skills, you give teachers the strategies about how to get kids to do basic reading. All right. A big challenge is we had to get rid of some horrible practices that were in place across the country, and this would be true in many of the countries that you're working with. If we go to the next one, and this is just, I mean, I have a doctorate in curriculum. I mean, I'm a teacher. Judith is a teacher who's on this. You don't have to be a teacher to make a difference with literacy. So what we've done is we've really simplified it. If you look at that slide, you'll see, how do people learn to read? Well, first of all, they have to know how to talk. So you can't teach a kid to read in English if they're speaking Spanish at home. They have to eventually learn how to speak English. That's oral language. The next thing is you have to teach them alphabet. The next thing, the next four, and they're highlighted in red, things that have to happen are educational things. You need teachers to lead these programs very specifically, and that's what we call phonemic awareness. So that's sort of phonics, sight words, taking words and putting them into longer passages. And you need lots of practice. So that's a very simplified version of the very complex activity of learning how to read. If you go to the next slide, you'll see this is an academic slide, if you like, but it's called the Scarborough's rope, and it's showing you it's showing you all the different strands on the left-hand side that you need to get to skilled reading. And you'll see on the left-hand side, vocabulary is one thing. The reason I'm pointing this out is so many literacy projects try to go in and do a whole bunch of things at one time instead of picking one strand, doing it well, teaching the people locally how to do it, and then let another club do one of the other strands. All right, if you go in and just trying to improve reading, you're going to get really low success. Vocabulary can be one project, language structure, literacy knowledge, phonological awareness on the left-hand side is the piece that we're doing. And there's lots of other things. So what I'm trying to point out here is that we're doing right now a very measurable piece on one of the highest bangs for your buck in teaching reading, and that's phonological awareness. There are other pieces that other clubs or projects can do. The key thing is limit it so that you can see success. Next one, go past that next slide. I won't spend time on it. Basically what we're doing when we go to Belize, and we're entering our third year, we did a pilot year, we did an introductory year and had to change things because we were dealing with the wrong age group of kids. We're now into finishing our third year. And basically we are training the teachers there how to, on a daily basis in 30 minutes, give kids decoding and phonological skills. All right. And it just shows you there. It's very simple. All right. We're able to, we don't just train the teachers, we've trained every librarian in the country, and their librarians have no post-secondary education. All right. So the big thing is we've got to get it done in the schools, which means we need government on board. So it's a very simple program. Any of you can go in and do it. It was put together by Dr. George Giorgio over 20 years in his work with Finland, China, Australia. It is actually a program that I can send to you. It's a binder of information. Okay, go to the next one. What did we do? We scaled things back. We said, we're just going to work on this piece. All right. So the message is start small and do it well. The big thing is we had to align it with the priorities that were in the schools in the country of Belize. Belize is 420,000 people. It's a small country, but they have a Ministry of Education and they're very proud of what they're doing, but they don't know how to teach reading. So we're helping them with doing part of that, and we align with their priorities. What you're seeing here in this picture is kids in a local library with a woman who has grade 8 education, and she's actually teaching the program. All right. So it can go anywhere. It can go into, we're going into small Mayan villages. We're going to lots of places, and we're just giving them this very simple approach. The next one. What have we learned in the process? First of all, you have to get government on board, and that only happens with building relationships and a lot of trust and a lot of evidence. All right. The needs assessment we do with the people in Belize, and it's taken a while to build that trust. As you all know, when you go into another country, they don't want you telling them what to do. They want you working with them along with their priorities. We're working right now with the University of Alberta. Dr. George Giorgio is a key person there. He's on our global grant committee, and he gave the program. We got the Minister of Education at the time, Adriana LaGrange, to give the program to Belize. So it doesn't cost anything, and we can send it anywhere because our prime objective is reading is a basic human right, and it's the key to economic and personal success. So we're working with the university. The University of Alberta helps us with all the data analysis, and we're right now moving into getting the universities in Belize to take that over because they have to ultimately own it. Our biggest sign of success is working ourselves out of a job, but we still need more people in Belize to buy in. It's got to be a 3 to 5 year plan. We did 1 year, one-offs, 2 years. That does not work. All right. You want sustainable success, they got to be longer plans. And one of the biggest challenges we had, Red Deer's a big club. It's got close to 100 members that we're in, is how do you get Rotarians who aren't teachers involved? And how do you get, what can they do? And what we've realized that's working way better is instead of giving them busy jobs to come down and help with when we're working with kids in classrooms, is we have them working on advocacy in the community and with other Rotary clubs and celebration. Because if you get Rotarians out there rubbing shoulders with business and with corporations and with community, that gets a very strong message of support out. So that was a big realization for us, is that here's a way to get our own club members more involved. So we try every time to bring some of our club members down with us to observe the success in action, which is done largely by educators. We have an expert team we take down with us. But what the Rotarians do that's invaluable is spread the news. And we've done some, I was so happy that we could get global grant support to build in community celebrations as part of the use of funds, because we're getting huge headway on that. Next one. There's Dr. George Giorgio on the left. He's actually from Cyprus. He is a world expert on reading. He will share his information with anyone. He really believes, as I do, that reading is a basic human right. On the right-hand side is the lead person in Belize. His name's Marian Noberto. He came and spoke at the conference in Calgary. He brought the place down with his message of, these people from Canada have come in, they've shown us, they've helped us, but now we're doing it. All right, we work alongside of them, and that's where the sustainability is coming. He is a member of their government Ministry of Education. Next one. Trust through evidence. I'm not going to bore you on the details. You can see them if you want our handouts. We provide extensive data showing over 6-month periods of what the success is. And if you just look at the blue bars versus the orange ones, there's 4 different tests that we do on kids at the beginning of a program and at the end of it over a period of 6 months. There's huge success in all of those components. So it's very, prior to this approach, what we used for years was satisfaction data. Did the teachers like it? Did the community like it? But that does not show you whether kids have improved their reading. This data shows you that. All right, and I must say, it was very convincing to get government on board when we started showing this statistical data based on pre-test, mid-test, and post-test. Finally, Rotary project involvement. We also involved, there's approximately 50 libraries, community libraries across Belize. Many of them are in little tiny villages where English is the 3rd language of the kids. And you're seeing on the left there, one of the ladies who came to the Rotary International Conference. We brought these people up. And I'm telling you, for those that were in the sessions, they were way more interested to hear from the Belizeans about the project than they were hearing from me or Judith or the others, because the Belizeans told the story about how it worked. And their big message was the Canadians listened to us and worked with us. All right. And so my plug there is sometimes I think we need to bring the people, and in your example, Rick, the people in the, that were doing the sewing projects and whatnot. They tell the story much more emphatically than I think sometimes Rotarians do. So the next sort of piece is what you've got there is the pictures. We brought 3 Belizeans up to the international conference. I would do that again because I really think sometimes we tell the story from the Rotarian point of view, and it has way more impact when we strengthen it with the people that we are working with. The one lady there that looks kind of goofy wearing the funny skirt, she's a librarian who won a national award in Belize for storytelling. So we're able to embed culturally significant reading materials into the program. And the final slide, Manon, is just, these are the Belizeans. We've involved kids in camps. We've done many different things. I think we have a system that is sustainable. Now the Belize government has made it mandatory that this program is in all their standard 1, which is grade 2 classrooms across the entire country based on the data. And when you get the government buying into good processes, you're going to make a difference in the reading. Our failing is that we're working only with the younger kids because that's the only resources that, that's as far as the Belize government can stretch their resources. We got a whole whack of kids in the upper grades, particularly in high school, where this kind of project could be worked, but they need money and they need support to do it. So we're keeping it small so that it's manageable with the government resources available and with what we can get with a global grant. but there is so much more that could be done. And in 5 years, you can change the entire culture of what's happening in Belize by making their young population literate. And we know that the GDP in a country raises significantly with every 1% increase in literacy. So we've got the statistics, we've got the background, we got the academia, we've got the process. We just need to spread it more widely. And the Red Deer Club, with our, $130,000 global grant, can only stretch it so far. Others, I would invite to replicate a model, an exemplar that is working very well. And with that, I'll stop.
Thank you very much, Lynn. This is a really good example. I sometimes hear people say, should we be spending year after year working on a project, continuing with the same project, or should we be moving on to different projects? This is an example, and there are others, lots of them in our district, where continuing on a project and building relationships in a country can make a huge difference and change lives. So thank you very much. And I know you've provided some documents, and if you, I don't have any way of sharing them at this time, but as Manon said, if people want to get in touch with you, or you've provided them to me as well, I'd be happy to share them with other people. Thank you so much.
Okay.
We're running a little behind, so I don't know, are there any quick questions for Lynn? If not, you know who she is now and what she's doing. So that's wonderful. And I'm sure a lot of you will be in touch with her. Our next presentation is a new project Steve Fehr from Calgary North is working on, and he's going to talk to you about a sustainable milk program. Steve, can you share? I can do it if you can't. Great. Have you
Can you
unmuted,
all
Steve?
see the
Oh, there he is.
PowerPoint now?
Yeah,
Okay,
it's
good,
great.
good. All right. So the title of my project is the Bellu Regency Sustainable Milk Protein Project. And for anyone that isn't aware, just a bit of geography, this project is based in Indonesia on the island of Timor. It's in the western side of Timor and the Indonesian side. So Timor has two countries in it. More or less, the western side is Indonesia, and the eastern side is the newest country in the world, Timor-Leste. We chose to do this project in Indonesia just because we had sort of more connections there. But what I'm going to talk about, the challenge that we're trying to address here, is actually throughout Timor and indeed throughout Indonesia. Okay. So now let me just get to where I need to be. Right. So I guess, some of the questions that I, get asked on this project is sort of how did we get here? And I'm going to start with that, and then I'm going to talk about the project, and hopefully I'll have a little bit of time left for questions. Okay, so this picture here was taken in 2016. As you'll see in a minute, I have a daughter who's disabled, and I'm involved in volunteering with a lot of things with people with disabilities, dominantly in the area of sports, cycling, skiing, scuba diving. But in 2016, I ended up in Indonesia and we were doing a hand cycling rally with a group of people who were disabled. And we were going to cycle around the island of Bali to improve awareness, not just of disabled sport, but in Indonesia, there really aren't any supports for people with disabilities. So it was actually to improve awareness of disabled sport and just awareness of people with disabilities overall. And in the process, in doing that, I met the gentleman who's sort of in the kind of just, I guess he's in the white shirt, taller guy with a beard and dark glasses on. His name is Rodney Holt. So then Rodney and I kind of connected. And when I joined Rotary, I kind of called Rodney up and said, you know, you've been living in Indonesia for 32 years. There must be some things that Rotary can help out with. And, you know, can we work together on something like this? And what you can see there is a bit of a bio for both Rodney and myself. You know, Rodney founded this organization called BSF Asia, and BSF stands for Bali Sports Foundation. But he started this foundation, and it was to help people with disabilities, help them get involved in sports, but also enrich their lives. And so he started with a handful of people in 2009. He now has 700 athletes, disabled athletes, in his programs involved in 22 sports. And also it's expanded throughout Indonesia. It's actually in 6 countries in Asia now. So, you know, Rodney's got quite an awareness not only of Indonesian culture, but also of what is needed in Indonesia, which is very much a developing country and has many challenges. And so Rodney lives in a place called Atambua, which is in West Timor. And he started up this Rotary Club of Timor Belu as well, and he's the president. So just a little bit of background on me. I touched on it a bit. I was a geologist for 36 years, and I had the privilege of working on global evaluation teams later in my career. That meant that I traveled a fair amount, and I guess through work I was in probably about 50 countries, and I was often in Indonesia. So I have kind of the understanding of Indonesia and a connection to it before I met Rodney. As I mentioned before, I have a daughter who's disabled, and I volunteer with these disabled sports groups. And in terms of my Rotary sort of history, I've only really been a Rotary member for 4 years. But when I was chatting with Rotary or with Rodney, I said, what can we do to improve the lives of the people in West Timor? We originally started out with a project actually that was focused more on people with disabilities. We were actually going to update and renovate a technical college so that it would be accessible for people with disabilities. And unfortunately, we ran into some challenges, and it became clear after a while that some of the people in the host club and with the sort of people who were associated with the host club, they were looking for some personal benefit out of our project. And we ended up saying, no, like Rodney won't tolerate this sort of thing, and neither will I. And we thought, well, if this is what's happening at the start of the project, it's just going to get worse over time. And so we ended up sort of terminating our relationship and then moving on to, you know, do something different. Rodney living in Atambua, in the Regency, which is like a county of Belu, he kind of knew that there was a problem there with malnutrition, and it was affecting the children there in significant ways. And so this project actually is dedicated towards trying to reduce the prevalence of childhood stunting. When I talk about stunting, a lot of people say to me, okay, well, what is that? You know, we all, at least in my generation, we all had the, you know, sort of comments from our parents where they would say, you know, you might say to your parents, well, can I have a sip of your coffee? And your parents might seriously or jokingly say, well, no, you can't, it'll stunt your growth. And so in my mind, when I first started on this project, it was, okay, well, shorter children, is this really a problem? Well, it is a problem, and it's a lifelong problem. Okay. So in addition to being sort of stunted, and in the World Health Organization, they define stunting as being 2 standard deviations in terms of your height and weight for below the mean for your age. Okay. And so if you look at the what's called the aspect or the characteristic, typically the children are shorter and they also have sort of altered body proportions relative to a non-stunted child that you can see on the right. Some of the more serious issues are the cognitive function impairment and the issues that actually happen when you don't have the right nutrients to allow your brain to develop properly. So when I talked to when I talked to Rodney about stunting, is, can you describe this to me? Like, what is it like when you're around a child who's stunted? And he always says, well, they're very unaware, and it takes a lot of time to explain to them what you need or what you want them to do. And so again, there's a huge developmental delay, but it's lifelong. There's no recovery from this, but it's totally preventable. Okay. The other issue that's very serious is that in terms of their health, the chronic diseases that we all experience, oftentimes in childhood, generally speaking, the children who are stunted are at a much higher risk of serious complications of any of these sort of chronic diseases that they might be exposed to. So the real impact of childhood stunting is actually huge. It's an impact on the family. It's an impact on the community because they've got a lot more children that are actually have these huge developmental delays. And it's actually an impact on the province and the country, because as you'll see in a minute, the statistics are not small. So you can't read all this, but I'm going to point out a few things to you. Okay. So if I go from left to right on these graphs, the left one is what is the incidence of childhood stunting by country? Okay. What I did was I highlighted Indonesia. It's at 21%. That's the average for the whole country. But Timor itself, West Timor, which is part of Indonesia, is actually more like Timor-Leste, which is 47%. So it's actually almost 1 in 2. So just imagine if every second child in your neighborhood had a developmental delay, okay, and had a lifelong sort of, mental challenge that your whole family and your community are actually going to have to deal with. So then if I take Indonesia by province, which is the middle graph, I highlighted NTT, or East Nusa Tenggara, which is actually the province where Belu Regency is, where Rodney lives in Atambua. The average for NTT is 35%. So I also was able to get statistics for Belu Regency, where we're focusing this project. There are 80 sub-districts in Belu Regency, and I plotted them in that graph on the right. What you will see is on the right-hand side, I've sort of put in some numbers to have it make sense. So if it was 1 in 10, that you can see the 1 in 10 sort of bar on the graph. So that would mean there would be 1 child in every 10 children who actually are suffering from childhood stunting. Then you can see 1 in 5, roughly about a third to a half of the regencies have 1 in 5 children who actually are impacted by childhood stunting. So if you go up to 1 in 4, it's about a quarter of the children in the area. And, you can almost get to 1 in 2 in many of the sub-districts within Belu Regency. So these things are very serious issues, lifelong issues, and it affects a number of children. Okay. So Rodney and I started talking quickly, and we said, well, what do we do about this? Is there something we could do to help reduce the prevalence of childhood stunting? As it turns out, I have a friend who works for UNICEF, and she connected us up with the chief nutritionist for Indonesia and the chief nutritionist for Timor. And we met with them probably 4 times, I guess, to say, what do you think of what we could do here to sort of help with this? And we had an idea that we could produce whey powder. And we said, well, is that, does it have good efficacy to actually give a nutritional supplement in the form of whey powder? And will that sort of make a difference? And that was fully supported by UNICEF. And so our thought process, and also was, vetted by UNICEF, was that there are many things that cause childhood stunting. It's dominantly malnutrition, but it's generally a lack of protein in your diet. And it's actually more a lack of animal protein than anything. Okay, and there are many reasons why the people in Timor actually don't have enough protein. I can't get into that in the time that we have. Part of it is political, but part of it is just, the sort of the diet that people have, and it's really rice-based, and there's just not enough protein in it. But we wanted to have something that would actually be an easy thing to add to an existing diet. And you can sprinkle things like, well, you can sprinkle whey powder on any dish, and it's actually flavor wise, it's neutral. And you can put it in things like orange juice. And it's actually an easy thing to add to a diet. And therefore, for the children the younger children, I'm talking sort of, under the age of 4, you can actually sort of put this protein in their diet without much effort if you have the right thing. Okay, many things have been tried in the past, and they've ranged from things like just taking dried protein or food, and just giving it to the people in Timor. And people looked at it and said, well, I don't generally eat dried fish and any kind of dried meat, and I don't know what to do with this. And many times they just fed it to their cattle. There were many other sort of attempts like that, and none of them have really worked. So what we tried to do was find something that was sort of, it respected the local culture. There wasn't any change in diet required. Also, which isn't listed here, we also made sure that it didn't require refrigeration, because many of the people in Timor or West Timor do not have electricity or running water in a lot of cases. So, having something like, say, well, we'll just give people milk, that doesn't work very well. Okay. So we didn't require refrigeration. It's easy to transport it. It was easy to, sort of produce. But we also said to ourselves, we have to do this in a self-sustaining manner and do it in a modular manner so that if it works, then we can actually sort of expand it and help more children. We also wanted to involve the local culture, the local organizations to help us out. So I wrote out Pukesma. It's actually spelt wrong as Puzkesma, and it's actually the local health clinics. They tend to be a gathering point for mothers, and it would be a great, sort of way to get the protein to people, is to work with the Puzkesmas. But also, Timor is a bit of an enclave of Catholicism in, Indonesia, which is dominantly Muslim. And the church is actually another gathering place. So we're going to work with the Puzkesmas and the church. And we're also going to leverage support from Rotary in this project. So what are we going to do? What we wanted to do was update an existing dairy, and we're going to produce whey powder in a self-sustaining manner. We have a dairy that's actually, it's got 1 cow, but it's producing milk and yogurt. And so that sort of process is actually there. We also have a master dairyman, and he's been working, in that dairy for a while, but he's going to be available to help with the expansion of this dairy. We originally planned to add 8 cows. We were going to produce milk and yogurt. From the yogurt, we would get the whey. Now we would sell the yogurt to local restaurants and hotels. That would give us revenue to support the dairy and support the production and distribution of the whey powder from the yogurt production. And we would distribute the whey powder to mothers with young children for free. Okay, so this was the original plan. And it was actually, I was kind of interested to hear Lynne say that, they kind of had a pilot, and I originally called this a pilot project. And, I found that when I mentioned pilot, it seemed to create a bit of a negative kind of impression in Rotary International. So I took the name pilot off for the purpose of this. But the idea was to sort of have a modest investment, add these cows in, start producing the yogurt, generate some revenue, and then use that to produce the whey, test everything out, see if it works, and then expand it later if everything did work. Okay. So, where are we now? So I did apply for Rotary International Global Grant funding. The project was $43,250. You can see the breakdown of where that funding would come from. Just under, 8,500 from my club. There was DDF was 15,000. The district was going to contribute 4375, and then the Rotary Foundation was 15,500. So since I applied for this, there's been some other developments in that Rodney, my colleague in Timor, he's very close with the regent of Belleau, and you can sort of consider the regent to be the governor of the county. Anyway, the regent has said he will provide the cows and he will provide, some of the buildings that we need to sort of run the dairy. And so Belleau Regency is now looking at sort of providing about $17,000. All my numbers here are US. We also were looking at, getting some money from the government of Australia. They do have what's called a direct aid program, about 7,500. And then I'm in the middle of discussions with my current club, and I see that Jarvis is here. And anyway, Steve Gasser and I and Jarvis chatted about this project. And it looks like, if we went forward, we might need something like 13,500 to come from our club. Okay. So that's the overview of the project. It is something where we were looking for a way to try and produce a protein supplement in a self-sustaining manner. The advantages of this project were sort of numerous in that, it not only helped with hopefully reducing the prevalence of childhood stunting, it actually would end up with the delivery of a cooperative dairy, to the people of Belleau Regency as well. So there is a community economic development component of it. There's a reducing disease prevention, and there's also a mother and child health component to it as well. So that's the overview of the project. As I said, it's sort of changed its character a bit. I did flag that for Barb before I, decided or agreed to present this, but I thought it'd be useful for the district to kind of understand what this project is about. In that, something may evolve in the future and things may expand. And then we'd be, maybe looking for support, not only from the district, but, from other clubs in the future as well.
Thank you very much, Steve. And as we know, things do change, as Lynn talked about in her project, and you mentioned again. And unfortunately, we're running really short. We're over, and I promised one other person that they could speak for 5 minutes. So I apologize to everybody. My team told me I was putting too much on the agenda, and they were correct. But I would like to let Greg Lohr talk about what he's looking at in the Fish Creek Park. And I know that it's Greg, I apologize for running late, but we'd like to hear what you have to say as well. So could you do your screen sharing, and people know now what Steve is doing? They can contact him directly.
Okay, you also have the slides, Barb. There's only 3. So anyway, I don't have it.
Do you want me to share?
Yeah, if you there's just 3 slides, if you don't mind. It'll be the very tail end of your presentation.
Now, why am I now? Let's see, just a second
Mhm.
here.
Well, I think I can.
Oh, I know, it's at the end of my, it's
Yeah.
okay, I've got it. It's at the
Yeah.
end of my presentation. Just a second.
Mhm. Mhm.
Here we are.
Thank you. Well, firstly, I'll do my best to keep your attention and to share with you what we're doing. I want to mention that I feel very privileged to be part of this group. It was great to hear about the projects from Lynn and Steve. I think,
Start again.
oh, did you? Well, I
I
can,
lost it.
well, I'll
You
just,
go ahead, I'll get it.
yeah. So the purpose of I've had the opportunity first that I joined Rotary here in March of last year, so I'm going through a bit of a learning curve. But I'm working with a really good club, and they're quite active on the international services side. The what we have done within the club, and this is I'll move right into this, is that we have gone through an evaluation looking at our projects for those that have the greatest social impact. You'll recognize some of the projects that are there. Our strategy in the first year was just to work towards projects that have the social impact that we were looking for and met the criteria, as well as projects that, because we're a smaller club, we would have the opportunity to partner with other clubs. And so in the first few months, we were successful in doing that. We've worked with, have established a good working relationship with Calgary West. We've expanded that to the clubs of Okotoks, and there's one other club that we're working with. And with that, all it did is it gives us a bigger pot to work with. And then from there, we applied for a district grant for a project that's, we'll just stay with the first slide.
Yeah,
Barbara.
I'm sorry it's doing this on its own. I
Oh,
apologize. I'll go back to the full
okay.
screen. You keep talking.
So
I'll fix it.
anyway, we have a project that we want to champion, and it's called Light Up the World. It's probably a project familiar to many of the group here, but the purpose of the project and what we're doing is that we're working with the Calgary-based Light Up the World organization, who produce and manufacture solar panels. And over the last few years, they've been successful in developing a technology and a cost structure on solar panels that allows us to install these solar panels through the skills and technical training given to us by Light Up the World with our club members. And once these solar panels are installed, and the target country is Peru, these are villages that have never had electricity, and were it not for some outside support, will not have electricity for a long time in the future. The government Peru doesn't have the financial resources to reach these villages, and so they kind of remained frozen in time in terms of having villages with families and everything else, but they don't have education is certainly a challenge. They don't have electricity to cook with. They don't have lights. And the joy of this is that when we do this work, at the end of a 10-day project, we bring through solar panels, they can have electricity, they have internet. It's really a quantum leap. And so with that type of work, we felt that we were on the right track to look at other projects that we might want to do. And that's led us to microcredit. So, and I don't need to speak to this group about what it is, but what we have a particular commitment and belief in within our committee and the club is that there's no better way to really help people become self-sustainable than through giving them the opportunity to create income for themselves. We also have on our committee a gentleman whose name is John Crosser, and he's very active in developing financial wellness training programs, which he does here through the school system and private schools in Calgary. And I thought, ideally, if we could couple not only the ability to conduct microcredit projects, but also to provide entrepreneurial training support in the host country, that we'd have somewhat of a differentiation and something that we could deliver value on. Over the summer, I had the opportunity to make new connections. So after the international convention, I had the opportunity to get connected through the RAGSED Action Group with Wally Gardner. I've had the privilege and been fortunate that Steve Ricard has kind of taken me under his wing to help us with the experience and knowledge as to how to be successful with these projects. Barbara and Manon have also shared their valuable time with us to just kind of shape out what kind of networks, what kind of systems that we need, and how do we go forward with a higher probability of success. So here we are in October, and we now have a strategic plan to go forward. And I think you can move to the next slide for that. We worked with Steve, and we have set up the structure. We know the plan. We have got a commitment with our club for funding. Steve mentioned the importance of when we did this, that we actually, put in place a plan where we have sustainable funding over a 3-year period, so that when we talk to organizations who you might say are the operators or the source of these projects, they know that we're committed and that we will do this over time. It won't just be, a random activity. We will have a region, we'll have a focus, we'll have specific goals that we want to achieve when we do it. So in all of that preparatory work and through the conversations that I've had with Barbara and Manon, we feel now that we're at a time where now we're ready to look for a project. We're not going to be overly ambitious for this coming year. We have, we want to do one project. We want it to be, focused on young people, on women. We believe through our network that we can do projects of smaller nature so that we can maximize the impact of our dollars. And in that regard, we are, we're basically set to go. So I think it's very timely that we have the opportunity to be introduced, because another part of our strategy is to be able to partner with other clubs. So Wally has been giving us leads. I mean, at the end of the day, as the director, it's still our response in the committee. We still need to bring a project to the club that connects with our club and its goals and values. But as a warm-up to that, Steve came and presented to our club on Monday night, and there was really, giving experiences of, his background and the projects that have been done. I can conservatively say that the club is very enthusiastic about supporting our committee to do this kind of work. So I think that in the time that we have, this is really just an introduction. I also want to mention, the honor that I had to meet Rick. And so I feel that we have like minds and similar goals. And as we work together over time through networking and projects that may appear, I just want to convey that, we're very passionate about the work we want to do in this area. And I feel that the committee's got the background in the commercial experience and other, community goals, that we will have some fun doing this and we will have an impact, I'm hopeful, in the coming year.
Well, that's great. And Greg, I'm sure that the people here, having heard what you're looking for, are a great resource. And if they think about what you're trying to do, if anybody has ideas of projects that they might get involved in, that's what's being asked here. Are there suggestions about things that this club could great to get
Well,
in
it may be
in running um,
I think we may
Sounds like
have,
Barb is
yes,
having issues with the internet.
yeah.
Denise?
Mm.
I think I
Manon, maybe it's time to put another nickel in the Nickelodeon.
I think so, eh? Are there any questions? Oh, there we go. Barb is back now.
Mm.
Your internet went really weird. We
Okay,
didn't hear what you said in the
yeah,
last.
I froze. I'm sorry, I froze.
Yeah.
So sometimes that happens. They tell me they're going to improve our connectivity. TELUS keeps telling us they will do this, but it hasn't happened yet. But anyway, sure anybody does it is that could help. Greg will be in touch if you give him just about approach they may take. They got a lot of experience in business and are really enthusiastic about getting credit for going so that they help the people of the world become in. So I'm having run out of time. I have one item to mention. It's a club in Northern Alberta that runs projects Belize again. But what they do is they build playgrounds and they take playgrounds from Northern Alberta and disassemble them and ship them to Belize. One of their members has a home there. Lynn may know about this, but they're planning on doing more trips. And they're looking for people who would to make coming February. It's a small investment of capital in order to help with the equipment. It is about 3 days of assembly when you get there in February, which is a great time of year in Belize. And I believe there are direct flights with WestJet. So if anybody is interested in just track it yourself. It, it's just kind of, in my experience,
Barb, every second word you say is chopped off. May I suggest that we send that information
audible.
to everyone in the group so that everyone can read about that opportunity to go and help reassemble playground equipment in Belize with an Edmonton club. I think you're
Thank you.
completely frozen now.
Thank you, Manon.
Yeah. Yeah, if we can do that, then everybody can hear, because I knew I could sort of, my brain sort of pieced it together because of what you said at our club
For-
meeting the other day. But if I would not have known that, I just can't get it. Yeah. And you're still frozen. Barb, would you like me to close off the
I'm
meeting?
sorry. Oh, yes, please. Yes,
Yes.
please.
Okay, well, on behalf of Barb and the whole DISC team, thank you very much for attending this evening. We heard some great projects. I'm so thrilled to see and hear about our Rotarians, our own district. And fun fact for everybody on the call, our district is the top district in the world. You heard me correctly. The top district in the world for giving to the Rotary Foundation Annual Fund, which is why we have so much money to offer to clubs in leveraging district designated funds for global grants. So let's continue to celebrate the good work that we do. Let's continue to share and collaborate. I think this district is absolutely wonderful, and I'm so honored to be your district governor and being able to boast about this. Please upload your pictures, movies, and stories to the Google Drive. The instructions are in the chat. I put Lynn's documents in the chat. this is being recorded. You'll get a link to it. Somehow we'll make that work. And thank you again. We look forward to seeing you at the next meeting, which is, we haven't decided yet, but we will have another one because it looks like we have a lot to share. So if there are no further comments, have a wonderful rest of your evening, folks, and we will see you around. November 1st, Polio Day. Come to the event.
Good night, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Are you still frozen, Barb?
No, thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. That is
I
terrible.
don't know. Am I?
You're
I
still,
don't know. It's tell us.
yeah, every
Am I?
second word is comes out like this and oh, yeah. So like I said, I think if you can send that out, that invitation to the Belize playground thing, people will understand from reading it.
I'll do that.
Yeah, awesome. Good. So a lot of
That's great.
learnings
Yeah.
from this presentation. I think we need to do practice runs
I think
because I don't
practice
understand
which.
when people don't know how to share. Anyway, we'll talk later because I still can't
Well,
understand what you're saying. Bye. We'll call.
I'm gonna phone you.
Yeah, okay.